Hello everyone, this is Ziad. This is our second video in automation testing. Last video we did something very simple. We initialized the driver, we added its property, we opened the website, we found the sign in button and clicked on it. We found a text box called email and sent it an email. We found a button, the submit login button, and clicked on it. Then we looked for the error message that showed with that XPath and got its text, adding it as a variable, then compared this variable to the expected error message. Let's try to run our script that we developed last time. It will click on sign in. It filled up the text box, clicked on sign in. It verified the error message. It's working fine. Today we're going to do two things. One new and one old. The new thing we will learn today is something called test annotation. We will get a better idea on it. For example, this add test, it's an annotation. Today we will learn more annotations, how to utilize the SSNG annotations more. And the second thing we're going to practice on is we're going to make another exercise based on what we've learned last video. Okay? This practice should be simple for you if you've learned what we did last video. So the new thing that we will learn today is the new annotation. So today, these three lines, they run before this remaining below lines. We want this is the test itself. Yes, so first this is the setup, and here below are the test steps themselves. Okay, these are the test steps, and these are like the pre-test steps. Okay, so first we need to divide our code. To divide it, we need to separate these two parts. Okay, let's create a function called setup, public void setup. Okay, and let's put this setup code in this function. Okay, we will get a driver error because we have initialized our variable inside this function, setup function. So we need to declare the WebDriver object in the class itself. So let's declare it inside the big class itself, and then initialize it in the setup. So let's declare it here and remove this declaration. And now we are in here, we declared it, and here we initialized it. So it's readable in the rest of the functions. Let's Control Shift F to arrange our code. Now let's try to run now. Let's see if it will work. It failed. Let's see why it failed. Scroll up. Okay, it says null pointer exception. Okay, this happened because this class did not run. So it ran this method without running the earlier method. So this driver is empty because it's not yet initialized. It has to be initialized in the setup function. So to run the setup function, we have to give it another annotation called add before test, and then hover on it and import its annotation. So by this, it will be ran before. This function will run before this test function. Okay, let's try to run our code now. Perfect. Now, let's try to maximize the window, because sometimes if the element is not in the view, sometimes you cannot detect it. So it's a good practice to maximize the window while working. So it's very simple. We just call the driver object. We have agreed last video that the driver is like a browser. It has all the controls of the browser. So let's go driver dot. We will see also controls I can do on the browser. Driver.manage. You will find a function called window dot. We have many functions that you can see: full screen, set position, maximize, get the position of the browser. We can do anything related to the browser itself. But in this part, we just want to maximize. So just type maximize. It's a function. So now it will maximize as soon as it opens the website. Let's do something else to close the browser after it's done. Because when you run the script like this, you will find that you have many Chrome sessions open, so we need to close it after each one. So we'll type a function called teardown and driver.close. We have to give it an annotation called after test to run after this part. So give it after test. Now hover on it, hover import test. Now let's run. It should close after it's done. Perfect, it closed. Let's make another test. We have completed the first part of our video. Test annotations are very important because let's assume we have 20 test methods. It doesn't make sense to write these 3 lines of code inside of each test method. So we have to put them just once in this before test setup function and one at the end after the whole tests are finished. So let's try to do today a new function to practice what we've learned in the previous video. Let's open our browser. Open automationpractice.com, the website that we're using. Now click on sign in. We want to make a small test. We want to type test@gmail.com, for example, in the create an account and create an account. It should tell us an error message telling us that this email is already existing in our system. So it's pretty close to what we've done last video, so try to pause the video and try to do this test on your own and then come back to this video. Okay? Now we're going to start. Right click and inspect the text box. If someone has this inspect element in the bottom and he want to change it in any different location, you can click on these 3 dots and choose where do you want the inspect element to show. I like to keep it down. Now inspect element on the text box. This is a text box, we want to send it some text. Let's take its ID. And here let's create a function, a new test method. Let's call it test login with existing email address. Okay? Let's give it another annotation, add test, because this is a test method. You should know something. This test, after it's completed, it's left on this page. So it finishes and this is its end screen. Okay? So we are already on that screen when we start our new test. Okay? So we are already there. We can automatically go and find the element, but we want this test to run after this test, okay? Because if we left it like this, it's going to be alphabetical. Let me explain. For example, if this test have a letter, it will run before this one. So let's give it another property called priority, okay? So the lower the priority, the higher the priority it has to start. For example, if we give it a priority of 2, it will run after the below one. So let's give this one priority of 1 and give the other one priority of 2. So this will run, then this will run. Okay? So as we agreed, we need to send some text to this text box. Let's get its ID. It has an ID called email. Create. Let's driver defined by ID. Paste the ID. Dot send keys. And let's send some email address like test@gmail.com, for example. And after we're done, we want to click on the create an account button. Okay, this is the text itself inside the button, and this is the button itself. Both should work, but let's take the button itself. It has an ID called submit create. Let's take it, copy, driver.find element by ID and let's paste the button ID, and we need to click on it. So here it's gonna write test at Gmail, that's gonna click on create an account. So we are expecting this error to show. So we need to get the location of this label or error message. So let's right click and inspect, right click, copy, XPath. Now driver define the element by XPath and paste the XPath. Now we need to get the text, the error message. We need to edit in a variable like we did earlier. Let's type in a string, already existing, let's call it already existing, email address. Okay. Now we need to compare the error message that will return with the expected error message. So we use the assert equal function like we did in the previous test. This is the actual, what we actually saw on the screen, with the expected, which we will take it as a copy. Let's run our code. It's maximized, it completed everything, perfect. Let's scroll up, it has a failure. Let's see why did it fail. It says no such element, unable to locate element with this XPath, which is the create account error, which is this one. Yeah, it was unable to find the error message. Let's see why. When you try to get this error message, okay, why it couldn't find it? Because this is some example is very important, so try to pay attention. Sometime when we try to find an element, sometime it is not shown yet. As you see, when you say click on create an account, it takes like a second to show. So let's ask it to wait like a second or 2 seconds until the error message it shows. So we can do something here called thread.sleep. Let's ask it to sleep for 3 seconds and then hover on it and add throw declaration. Now let's try to run now. It will wait now 3 seconds, then it will detect the element. Now both of them are passed. Now listen, this method is not the best way to ask a browser to wait, because we are asking the browser to wait 3 seconds regardless on when the element will show. So if the element showed after 1 second or 2 seconds, so we force the browser to wait 3 seconds even if the element waited, even if the element took only 1 second to show. So in this example, for example, we are asking it to wait an extra second for no reason. So if you have, for example, like 100 test case and we're using this method in it, it will affect the performance dramatically, as big as a framework goes. So later I will show you how to do this in a better way. Now Ctrl+Shift+F to arrange our code. Now we completed our video today. We created another test. We did the setup and tear down. This runs before these two methods, and this run after the two methods are done to close the browser. This is very simple, as you can see, and later we will learn more things, but most of what we've done in these two videos are for me the most important. What we've learned today will make you think you can do much automation coding, and in my opinion this could be actually true. But today we made some basic tests, and these basic tests are like 90% or like maybe like 70% of all the tests you're ever gonna need. But the most important part is something called page object model, which makes us arrange our code in a better way. And this is what we are going to learn later in the two next videos. We have two videos called Page Object Model 1, Part 1 and Part 2. These are very important and we need to pay attention in it, because arranging the code is one of the most important tasks when it comes to creating a big automation framework, so that it could be easy to maintain and update. That's it. See you next video.